Have you ever found yourself staring at your computer screen or your phone, wondering where the last few hours went? Do you set New Year's resolutions but always fail to see them through? Do you feel like you've never had enough time for that one project or hobby that you've been meaning to get to for a long time? If so, you're not alone, and Life Not Found might be the game for you. Hello and welcome, my name is Groudon and this is Steam Sequence, a series where I complete Steam games in alphabetical order to hopefully uncover some diamonds in the rough. Unfortunately, this means playing through a lot of garbage, and for today we'll be playing Life Not Found. Life Not Found is a small indie project developed and published by Birchin in 2022. According to the description, it's a point-and-click style puzzle game. However, I would personally describe it as a narrative game with minor puzzle elements. Please be warned, Life Not Found contains themes relating to mental health that may upset some viewers, such as anxiety, depression, self-harm, and suicide. Looking at the trailers and images, the art style is simple and clean, using black, white, and red tones for contrast. The premise appears to be based around navigating the computer of an unnamed user and uncovering their story. Life Not Found is also free, so let's download it and dive in. Life Not Found opens with a menu screen designed as a somewhat creepy person with a computer monitor for a head. In the settings menu, you can switch between full screen and windowed mode, but there are no other graphical options, and this is fine considering the art style. There is also a difficulty slider, which is set to hard by default. Any attempt to change this is greeted by a message saying life is hard, and the difficulty doesn't change. As we'll soon discover, this sets the tone for the game very early on. Not all actions will have the outcome that you expect. After clicking on Start, we're treated to a loading screen. The screen states that there is a 17% chance of failure to load, and I'll mention now that Life Not Found does include a jump scare that can be triggered during this loading process. This jump scare isn't awful, but it is unfortunately necessary to trigger in order to beat the game. Anyway, we then arrive at the desktop of the main character's PC. It's quickly apparent that the apps on screen are parodies of real-world equivalents. Twitter is Twitter, Grammar is Instagram, even the operating system, DOORS, is a parody of Windows. Once you are here, you have full control over what you open and where you explore. And as you explore, various thoughts of the main character will appear and messages will arrive from friends asking if you want to join them for a gaming session. You're free to explore however you wish, and there is no guiding narrative, only what you discover by poking around. One of the most interesting things to explore is the diary. Through the course of 10 entries, it tells the story of the author over the span of roughly 3 months, as they try to come to grips with the reality of their life. It begins with them feeling tired, constantly presenting a facade to their friends and family, and a general unhappiness with what they perceive as their progress in life. It goes on to discuss the hobbies and skills they worked on outside of school, creating music, animations, and even fan-made games. They are concerned about releasing the game, worried about how it will be received, the feedback they will get, and whether or not the time and effort invested will have been worth it. Unfortunately, things get worse before they get better. They comment that they've been feeling generally unhappy and unsatisfied with their life, but claim that it's not depression. We then learn that they had set themselves some goals to achieve during this break they're taking, but they seem to lack the motivation to work towards these goals, and that they're not able to improve these skills. This then leads to guilt over dropping out of school and an admission of depression influencing their behaviour. The time they have gained feels like it's been wasted by other activities like gaming instead of being productive. But this entry does end on a positive note, that they recognize the need to change their behavior. However, with their birthday approaching, they reflect on the time they've wasted up until this point. This is followed by a swift realization that while they have had hobbies over the years, having to focus on school prevented them from pursuing those hobbies, but also that spending time on those hobbies impacted their school grades. The animations, the music, the art, the game development, they never spent enough time on any one thing to develop the skill further. But how could they? they were never given an opportunity to do so. Whether it be not having enough time in the day or not enough money to buy the essentials to get started, they were doomed from the beginning. But then the realization. They now have the time and the resources, but there is still no progress being made. They have a chance to change, but they are wasting it. On their birthday, they resolve to be more productive, to get rid of the distractions that are holding them back, and to simply try. It'll be fine, they tell themselves. And in the final diary entry, we can see their newfound resolve. Having been inspired by another artist, they are ready to focus and work on producing something, even if it is different from their original plan. And that's where it ends. So here we are, in front of the PC, with a newfound determination. We have distractions on the left of the desktop and 2 productivity apps on the right. And when we try to open either of them, the mouse is then drawn back to a distraction. And then the red text appears. The intrusive thoughts of the main character. And this is where we realize the premise of the game. We are the author of the diary, and we are fighting against those thoughts to try and make change. To be productive, we need to access the 2 apps on the right, so why not simply uninstall the distractions? The distracting apps can be deleted, but following this path leads to a mental health crisis. The error message boxes turn a sinister red and begin to glitch, and rather than showing an error message, they ask questions that reflect the spiraling depression of the main character. What's the point? Why did I buy this? I'll check another app. This takes too much time. I'm useless. And the frequency escalates as the negative thoughts spiral out of control until the in-game system crashes. Simply removing all the distractions isn't the answer. There needs to be balance. The clues to solving this puzzle are found in the file labelled Prohibited, and in here are clues to be solved, some of which are fairly cryptic. Now, if this has sounded interesting to you, I would recommend going and trying this game. It's free, so why not? There are spoilers for the ending ahead, but I won't be showing the solutions to any of the puzzles, just the outcome. So if you want to experience this for yourself, I recommend skipping ahead to my final thoughts by jumping to the timestamp on screen now. Still here? Right, after solving 2 sets of puzzles, we're able to run a file called factoryreset.exe. This causes all of the apps to be deleted, even the productivity ones. But even then, the progress is only at 60%, so what is left? The game then breaks the 4th wall. The next steps in the factory reset include acknowledging bad habits, deleting fake friends, acknowledging addictions, imposter syndrome, and self-hatred. The factory reset is not just for their PC, but for their entire self. It's not enough to just have a clean PC to work from, but a clean slate for themselves too. They have had to face their own shortcomings and acknowledge them. By doing so, they can begin the process of change and improvement. We can create the perfect environment for pursuing our hobbies, for productivity, but without the right mental state or willpower, no progress will be made. And while not everyone will agree with this as a solution, I think that's okay. This isn't meant to be advice for everyone. This is the story of one person and their process of change and growth, of overcoming the often perceived as insurmountable obstacle of depression. This story is meant to serve as an inspiration, not as instructions. And personally, it resonated with me. I've experienced those days where the simple act of opening a productivity app seems insurmountable. I put off creating a YouTube channel for literally years and had some of the same self-doubting questions and concerns as the main character did. There is a strong message here, and I think it lands perfectly, creating a moment of space for the player to reflect on themselves, their path to this point, and their journey going forward. Life Not Found is a short and poignant experience, less of a game and more of a narrative journey. It aims to deliver a message and to impart emotions, and I feel that it nails the delivery. The puzzles required to progress the narrative could be better tied to the gameplay systems, as they don't feel quite cohesive. That doesn't stop it from delivering on its purpose, and actually encourages the player to take the time to read and explore every inch of what's available. Personally, I feel that the loading screen jump scare is unnecessary, and the clue contained therein could be delivered through a different method. But I also don't feel that it detracts overly, and is largely just my personal preference. I personally enjoyed one moment that can be found after completing the first puzzle, and it's completely missable. It provides commentary on the items in the recycle bin, where the main character laments that they've labelled all of their creations from the past 7 years as garbage. Yet, upon reflection, they realise that without those projects, they may have travelled a very different path. Even if their projects weren't amazing, they also weren't trash, they were progress. Overall, the combination of the plot, character building, and gameplay combine wonderfully to create an experience that many of us can relate to, and impart a message that will stay with you for some time after finishing the game. And speaking of, the game can easily be completed in an hour. The fact that Life Not Found is also free is icing on the cake, making this game an easy game to recommend, which is a first for this series. With that in mind, I give Life Not Found a Monstermon Advanced Emerald out of 10, because Pokemon Emerald is the best Pokemon game and no one can convince me otherwise. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. It was slightly more serious than usual. I'm glad that we've finally found a hidden gem of a game. It's making me feel like this project is going to be worthwhile. If you're still here, please leave a like on the video, or hey, why not subscribe to see more weird Steam games in the future? As always, the next video will be done when it's done, so until then, take care.